Usually things like this show up from independent journalists first, and then once it garners enough attention, then it shows up in the mainstream media. Hello YouTubers, Alaska Prepper here. Happy Wednesday, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to our bi-weekly news compilation video. Before we start, let me say thank you very much to Genesis Gold Group, who is the sponsor of this video. And ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you ahead of time that this Friday, I may not have a live stream. I will let you know for sure here probably. Hopefully, I'll be able to put up a video tomorrow. I have jury duty this week, and I have been called to participate in our civic duties, I guess you can say. Let's go ahead and talk about the news, what's going on around the country, around the world. There's a lot to talk about, so let me get to it. I'm not sure if you remember this video that I put up, but I mentioned it on a few videos over the years. But back in 2013, while President Obama was in office, he told the CDC, hey, I want you to go ahead and do a study on gun violence in the United States of America, because they want to say that it's a health problem, right? That it's a health issue. So the CDC went ahead and contracted a private company and nonpartisan private company to go ahead and do this study, and they never really published it or pushed it out to the public in a big way. They didn't use mainstream media to say, hey, look at this, look at what they found out about gun violence in the United States of America. And talking about this, ladies and gentlemen, is more than likely going to have my video suppressed and not shown to barely anyone. So please show your support if you appreciate this kind of information by giving the video a like and sharing it. It's the only way really that we're going to be able to get around the algorithm that wants to suppress the truth that we're putting out there. The study that the contracted agency from the CDC came up with back in 2013 was one that was not very popular with that current administration, as is now. And that is that guns are used for self-defense a heck of a lot more than what they're used to do bad things. And again, ladies and gentlemen, this is why I am thankful for independent journalists. This is why the First Amendment is so important, so that we don't just hear the narrative that they want us to hear. Who? The mainstream media and their masters masters, if you know what I mean. The gun control advocates engaged with top CDC officials to challenge the depiction of studies estimating that DGUs ranging from 60,000 to 2.5 million occurrences annually in the United States. And DGUs is defensive gun use. So what that study is saying still is that in the United States, there's about 60,000 to a max of 2.5 million times where guns are used for self-defense, where there's only about 300,000 to 500,000 times where guns are used to do something really bad. Now think about that, ladies and gentlemen. Think about how many women in that 60,000 to 2.5 million used a firearm in order to not get SA'd. And this is the gun control advocacy group talking to the CDC. Quote, that statistics needs to be buried, dug up, and buried again. Bryant bluntly stated in an email to CDC officials following their meeting. And why is that, ladies and gentlemen? Because during a time in our country's history when hundreds of thousands of people are coming into our nation unlawfully, they want to disarm you, the American people who are law-abiding citizens. Check this out. The DHS is aware and currently monitoring more than 600,000 people who entered into this country unlawfully and that they know have a criminal record. According to this representative, it's about 617,000. They either have criminal records or convictions or pending criminal charges. But it's okay for them to be here. People who are here unlawfully can carry their Second Amendment for protection at the same time that this administration is trying to take it away from law-abiding citizens. We live in an opposite world, ladies and gentlemen. You have to protect yourselves and you have to get prepared if you're not. And as I turn the page to go to the next story, ladies and gentlemen, after I told you that I'm getting excited, look at what I get here. I mean, take a look at this. Incredible. Like I said, you have to be prepared because these people are not in it for you. They are in it for them. Government is there for itself, and government's main job is to get stronger and bigger. They don't care about you. Just take a look at that funding bill that they passed not too long ago. I think over the weekend, that $95 billion funding bill. And here we go again. Massachusetts Governor Haley slammed for opening Chelsea Soldiers' Home to people that are here unlawfully for free, while charging military veterans to stay there. I'm not even going to go through this. I do leave the link to all of these articles on a pinned comment so that you can check them out, ladies and gentlemen. Look at that. I'm almost crying from laughing, because if I don't laugh, I'm really going to cry. So pretty much what's going on in Massachusetts here is that they took a place where they used to provide a stay for veterans who needed assistance, and they used to charge them like $30 a day to help them with assistance for whatever it may be. And they took this place and they turned it over into a place that assists people that are here unlawfully for free. The mainstream media is not there to give you the truth and to tell you what you need to know for your own good. They are there as a mouthpiece for the government, ladies and gentlemen. Have you not realized this yet? And in addition to that, they can't do it. Why? Because gold and silver are the dollar's kryptonite. The higher in dollar price that gold and silver goes, the more that the dollar is being devalued. That's why it's going up higher in price, because gold is a direct correlation as to the value of the dollar. The less that the dollar is valued, the more that gold goes up. All right, vice versa. So they're never going to tell you the truth. What the rising gold price signals. Spoiler alert, nothing good. And I've said this often, ladies and gentlemen, that would you really want to live in a world where gold was like $50,000 an ounce and silver is like $1,000 or $2,000 an ounce? It would be a very tough world. Look at Venezuela. Right, look at Venezuela. That's kind of like what's happening over there, where their fiat currency is so very devalued that, of course, when you match it against gold or silver pretty much hyperinflated. The recent run-up in the gold price has not garnered the attention among the mainstream financial media outlets as it should, and it never will. Why is that? Because the mainstream media is the mouthpiece of the government, and the government knows that gold and silver are the dollar's kryptonite, and the dollar is what keeps the government in power, just like that. Naturally, the financial press, which is really an arm of the government and its central banks, wants to ignore as much as possible references to gold as protection against the continuing increase in the price level, which itself has been deliberately understated by monetary officials, pretty much. The media and government understand that precious metals are the ultimate security against runaway inflation and economic collapse. Adjusted for inflation right now, gold should have risen to about $3,590 an ounce, while silver would have to be way over $50 an ounce. Precious metals will continue to escalate unless the Federal Reserve radically changes its interest rate policy to combat inflation, as former Chairman Paul Volcker once did back in the mid-80s, where he brought inflation rates all the way up to like 17-20% or something like that. Imagine what kind of a world that would be. Can anyone say deflationary depression, ladies and gentlemen? Exactly what it would be. This is a great time that we're talking about gold to segue over to the sponsor of this video, Genesis Gold Group. I'm not a financial advisor, but the folks at Genesis Gold Group specialize in helping those who want to diversify their excess wealth by converting their fiat currency retirement plans into a plan that is backed by real money. So if you're in a position where you are wondering what you can do in order to diversify or insulate your wealth against what I like to call the inferno of inflation, give Genesis Gold Group a call, and they can provide you with the information that you need in order to make an educated decision. A New York City high school soccer game had to be canceled this weekend because some people who shouldn't be here because they're here unlawfully refused to leave the field. Hey, why didn't you just call the cops? Well, even after the police were called and then showed up, the group of people that shouldn't be here because they're here unlawfully refused to leave the field, reports say. There were about 30 of them who appeared to be African and spoke little English. Eric Johnson, the coach of the Manhattan Kickers, says, I directly asked them to leave and some of them kind of took it into consideration. But then 4 or 5 of them said, you know what? The heck with it. We don't have to leave and you can't do anything about it, pretty much. This is going to come to a point where the people themselves are going to revolt and start taking the law into their own hands, because the law doesn't want to do anything as far as protecting those that actually pay them for that protection. The police asked to see the team's permit instead of kicking out the people that are here unlawfully, and taking up the real estate that is supposed to be used for that function. When you show up with 2 teams in uniform, a referee and 2 coaches, usually nobody is asking to see a permit. So pretty much the moral of the story is that instead of the police helping the actual lawful citizens, they instead, in my opinion, harassed the lawful citizens and allowed the unlawful people to stay there occupying the field. Shame on them. So this is a TikTok that's been going around. This young lady here went into a Whole Foods to get a little bit of groceries. She grabbed an apple that you see there, her holding in her hand. $7, ladies and gentlemen. Inflation only has one way to go. And for those of you that think that inflation has flattened out a little bit, it has flattened out a little bit, all right? The prices will never go back down to where they were. They've just plateaued a little bit, but we have another rise in inflation that's going to be even worse than the one that we experienced here for the last couple of years. So get ready. Stock up now. And despite of everything here, ladies and gentlemen, this last weekend they passed a bill where they sent $95 billion of our tax dollars overseas to support conflicts going on in other countries and in order to shore up their borders. But not only that, they did that while the CIA director admits that one of those recipients of, I think it was $65 billion, they know that these people are stealing money right off the top, but they still pass these bills and send it to them. And here it says that the CIA director had to warn this head of state to stop stealing so much money. Isn't that something, ladies and gentlemen, that while the American people are suffering in the manner that they are and how we are being invaded by other people who don't really belong here because they are not here lawfully and they are sucking up all of our resources, not only do we have to contend with that, but we also have to contend with sending off almost $100 billion to other nations, of which their heads of state are being told by our CIA, you have to stop stealing money. You have to stop stealing it because the people are going to get to know about this. Another reason why I like independent journalists, because if not, this would not be in the mainstream media. Usually things like this show up from independent journalists first, and then once it garners enough attention, then it shows up in the mainstream media. So Burns told the Ukrainian president because he was taking a large share of the skim money than was going to the generals. So pretty much this guy's generals are upset that he's stealing more than they are of our money. I wouldn't care how much they're stealing. It's their country. It's their deal. But what I care about is that this money belongs to the taxpayer of the United States of America, and it's being given away by representatives that no longer represent we the people. And I've often said that if you live in a populated city, especially one of these cities that doesn't care about you, ladies and gentlemen, you need to get out. Check this out. Which major city will completely collapse first? Los Angeles, Chicago, or New York City? I wonder if that is some kind of a bet that's going on in Las Vegas, since they have betting there about a whole bunch of different things. You know what I mean? Like the Super Bowl, like how many times is AP going to say ladies and gentlemen during a certain video? In 2024, virtually all major U.S. cities have certain things in common. First of all, if you visit the downtown area of one of our major cities, you're likely to see garbage, human excrement, and graffiti all over the place. As you will see below, some of our core urban areas literally look like they belong in third world countries. Remember, I said that the United States is not headed towards full collapse, but that we will become, a third world country. That's what they want. They want to depreciate our standard of living to that of a third world, ladies and gentlemen. And that is why, again, you must get prepared. Most of our politicians don't seem to be concerned about doing anything to clean up the filth. And so it should not be a surprise that rat populations are absolutely exploding all over the country. And to make a long story short, what are they thinking about doing here in New York City about the rat problem? They want to provide with rat contraceptives so that they don't have any more baby rats. It's incredible. I would think this was out of the Babylon Bee, but that is what they're proposing, rat contraceptives. And for the very last story, ladies and gentlemen, I just wanted to go ahead and cover this here, that things are not getting better. If for you that is listening to this video, if things have gotten better, God bless you. take your blessings, and if you can, pass them on to some people that may need the help. Because for most Americans, things are not getting better. And for this generation, the generation after, things will not get better. It's going to take 2 or maybe 3 generations for things to actually get back to a place where people are like, yeah, we are doing okay as a nation. We still have a long way to go, and a lot of people are going to suffer. In Biden's America, 40% of renters think they'll never own a home, up from 27% last year. And this is one thing that I think I feel safe in guaranteeing you, and that is that 1 year from today, that number will be higher. Most Americans today, by what they actually earn, can't even qualify to buy a home. So them realizing that they're not going to be able to buy a home is just solidifying the fact that already exists. That is going to do it for today, ladies and gentlemen. Again, I will let you all know ahead of time if we are not going to have a live stream this Friday, depending on if I have to go sit on a jury or not. Other than that, I hope that you have a great rest of the day. God bless every one of you. And if you're still here, you are awesome. God bless America. I'm Alaska Prepper. I'm out.